Los Angeles homeless count will take place February 22nd and through 24th, 2022. The annual homeless count provides the county with a picture of the state of homelessness in Los Angeles. Data from the count is used to inform policies and strategies to end homelessness. In 2021, the homeless count was canceled due to the pandemic, so getting an accurate count this year is more important than ever. Generally, volunteers are needed for 3 to 4 hours. The Rowland Heights homeless count is scheduled for Tuesday, February 22nd at 8 p.m. and LASA is still looking for 10 teams of 3 participants per car. So that would include a driver, a counter, and a navigator to get the most accurate count possible for our Rowland Heights area. Family units or friend groups can volunteer together to mitigate safety concerns. As safety is the #1 concern, there is no interaction with our unhoused neighbors, and this is only a site count, a census for them. You can sign up for the homeless count at theycountwillyou.org. Please let me know if any of you are interested in learning more. The count is taking place next week on Tuesday, and I want to give a quick shout out to David who's been the site lead this year. As always, please feel free to reach out to our office if you have any county-related questions. I will leave my office number and email in the chat. Thank you again, members of the Rowland Heights Community Coordinating Council. Before I end my report, I would like to invite my colleague Martin to share a brief message. Is Martin on? Yes, I see that Martin's on. Martin, if you're speaking, I don't know if we can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Martin, I can hear you.
Yep, great. Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. Hi, my name is Martin Reyes. I'm the Transportation Deputy for Supervisor Solis. Just wanted to introduce myself and let everybody know that the supervisor before redistricting actually sat on the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government Capital Projects Construction Committee. I know it's a mouthful. We call it ACE for short, but ACE is the agency that's leading delivery of the Fullerton Road grade separation. And prior to redistricting, probably for the past 3 or 4 years, the supervisor had been sitting on the governing board for ACE. And we've been following the Fullerton Road grade separation project. And she left the board for a little while to join during her chairship at Metro. So for the last maybe 6 or 7 months, it's Supervisor Barber who's been sitting on ACE. But the Supervisor Solis is back now on the ACE board. And I just wanted to let everyone know that this is a project that we will be keeping an eye on. I know there are a lot of concerns from the community here, but we're here to take your concerns and bring them back to ACE and make sure that ACE is addressing them as however they can best. So just wanted to put that message out there and introduce myself and let you know that I'm here and available for questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Martin.
I have a hand up here. Can you hear me, Cary? This is Roy.
Yes, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Serrano, and that is last board meeting, they had an item on there about transportation and road safety, so forth, for unincorporated areas. They had Hacienda Heights on there, but what happened to Rowland Heights? Don't we count? And especially some of the items that are coming up with that CSD meeting that they have. And I'll just go down the list and you can pick and choose on them. And then the Stater Brothers camper back there. Now, I haven't been back there in a couple weeks of the other issues, but the idea of moving these people off of commercial areas and stop the blighting and ghettoizing of our community. And to wit, I errantly put in on the sheriff's, it was actually for commendations, but I noted this perpetual situation at the John Rowland Shopping Center there on Colima near Nogales, where these people were just camping out every night and just like thumbing their nose. And we got to get a handle on that. We don't deserve that. We're taxpayers, and got to get those people off. And there are plenty of regulations about not camping out on commercial properties. And to remind everybody, tomorrow, Tuesday, is an opportunity to speak to the supervisors on the public comment. And what's the position on Gascon? Thank you.
So if I can answer some of those, I think I'm gonna let my colleague Andrea Moreno go ahead and jump in on that.
Hi,
Andy, you want to go ahead and jump in?
can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi,
Go ahead.
it's Ryan, and thanks, Roy.
Okay, right.
Cary, did you have an additional comment?
No, I just said I hear you, so go ahead and answer the question.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I was, I believe, several questions. Roy, thank you for that. I know that, especially on the homeless front, right, we definitely need a lot more resources out here in our community to ensure that, like you mentioned, we take care of the blight situation, which is why it's so important. Once again, I want to reemphasize Ryan's point on really coming out to help support the homeless count. That is the one point in time, right, that we get to really see and really drill down on our communities in terms of what the different impacts are for homelessness, and to be able to really advocate and lobby for resources to come to our areas. So we've never had the opportunity to be here in this community in the past, but I do look forward to ensuring that we get those resources to Rowland Heights specifically, as well as to the other areas in the first district. In terms of your question about the transportation items, I actually feel very lucky to have Martin and also Waqas here with us that can go a little bit deeper into that particular item. Martin, do you want to go ahead?
Thanks, Andy. And Roy, I want to make sure I capture your question correctly. Were you asking about traffic regulations that were implemented at the last board meeting?
Yes, it was on the agenda there, and I made a point of that particular. Also sent out a message to the supervisor on that particular issue. That why were we ignored?
Got it. Thank
And
you.
of course,
So for that item, those are sort of standard items where Public Works collects a lot of requests that we've received from different communities across the county, and they arrange them by supervisorial district. And they're usually requests to add a loading zone or add a disabled parking zone or remove a stop sign, for example. A lot of these are requests that we get from the community. I will definitely check to see where Rowland Heights requests are coming in, but also if Rowland Heights has any requests like that, where you'd like maybe a loading zone in front of the school, or you'd like, any other minor traffic regulation, I'm happy to take those requests and have Public Works evaluate and implement them, and then you would see those on a future board meeting. So a lot of these are requests. I will check with Public Works to see what requests we have in Rowland Heights that are in the works right now.
Yeah, we could go all night on that one, and it really is kind of unfair to bring it to you at this time, because this was largely under Supervisor Hahn's watch, to get that on the agenda and that study and so forth. So thank you very much.
Sure, we'll get back to you on what traffic regulations are coming to Rowland Heights.
Okay. Any more questions for our county? Okay, thank you.
This is Chuck Sun. I got a question for Ryan.
Go ahead.
In the past, we, when Supervisor Holmes was in the area, you guys would have a physical location. I understand it used to be in Hacienda Heights somewhere near the park. So my question to you is, Ryan, do you have a physical location so we can visit you in the future?
Let me answer that real quick before. No problem. So our current offices are located in Pomona and in South Amani for the San Gabriel Valley. We don't really have any plans immediately to open an Hacienda Heights location. I think based on the information that Ryan shared, right, we are more about having events in our communities and coming out. I think some of you that got a chance to get the free test kits, right, you got a chance to meet the supervisor in person. She loves to come out to all of our communities regularly. We really don't do office hours the way the Supervisor Hahn office used to do it. We just have a different approach right now. And because of the pandemic, we really are working, as you can see, remotely a lot of the time. So for the time being, we don't have any plans to open anything in Hacienda Heights.
I see. So your physical location is located in Pomona, right? It's
That's correct.
okay. Is that office still open most of the time, or just selected day?
Right now, it's very selective.
Mm.
It's not taking in-person appointments. So really, it's more of an operational center point for us for the East San Gabriel Valley. And then the South El Monte office also operates as a center point for logistics for our team for the western portion of the San Gabriel Valley.
Okay. So in the future, if you wanted to come over to meet you guys, maybe physically, basically we need to call you ahead and make an appointment first, right?
Yeah, and I think that brings a good point. Before COVID time, we actually used to host town hall meetings we would rotate town hall meetings at different communities. Our communities before, representing Rowland Heights, not many had coordinating councils. So I think we're definitely taking the structures that are already in place in our new areas to try to see what works best for Rowland Heights, but we really take a very tailored approach to each community. And so, if a meet and greet perhaps would be something that the Rowland Heights Coordinating Council, as well as the larger Rowland Heights community, might be interested in, I think that would be a project for us that we would be happy to work on and set up locally, right? Because we really want to ensure that our residents don't really have to travel far if they don't have to, and that really the best way for us to help someone is over the phone, because we have technology at our fingertips, right? We can easily look something up. We can ensure that the residents that are calling us are in fact from the areas. And if they're not, we would like to refer them to the appropriate agency, right? Because we don't want them to just get the runaround and just come to our office when it would have been something that we could have handled on the phone in the comfort of their own home.
Gotcha. All right, understood. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, any more questions for Andrea or Ryan?
Just a comment that David and I have both found Ryan and Andrea to be very responsive to our concerns.
Thank you. I just have a question. Does Supervisor Solis have like an e-newsletter or something that we can sign up to receive?
So if you would like to sign up for Supervisor Solis's newsletter, you can go to her website, which is hildasolis.org, and at the top you'll see an icon that you can click on to sign up for the weekly newsletter. And that's a very informative piece of information that goes out every week, and it provides detailed information on events happening in the community, as well as recent board motions that have been passed.
I see a community calendar, but I don't see a link for a newsletter or how to sign up.
I'm pulling up the site right now so we can walk through it.
Make sure that you scroll all the way down. Before we used to have a pop-up, but that apparently didn't work on some of the browsers. So our communications team ended up taking the pop-up down, and instead, if you just scroll all the way down, there's a button. I believe it's like red or orange, and you just click on subscribe.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, do you need to share your screen so everybody can see it?
Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I make you a presenter now. You can share. You go ahead.
Okay. So you go down to Hilda Solis. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
No, not yet. Okay, now, yes.
Okay, so you'll click, or at the top you'll put in hildasolis.org, and if you scroll on down to the bottom, you'll see we have some news going on in the community. And if it loads here, all the way down at the very bottom, you'll see right here, stay informed with updates from the first district, and you just click on this button right here, subscribe. And that'll take you to this page right here, where you can enter your email address, and you'll be signed up for the weekly newsletter. Did anybody else have any more questions?
Okay, Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, so with no more questions, let's move to the next speaker. Thank you, Ryan, Andrea, and Martin for your report and answering the questions. I see Congresswoman Youngkin's representative, Mr. John Ding is here. John, and are you here, John?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is John from the Congresswoman Youngkin's office. So I just I want to say happy late Chinese New Year. It's been a couple of weeks, but it's a long festival, so happy New Year. On the legislative side, first, Representative Yang Kim on the January 12th introduced a bipartisan bill joined with Abigail Spanberger and introduced a community-oriented policing service B grant program. The bipartisan bill will authorize and improve the cops on the B grant program to assist local law enforcement agencies to hire law enforcement officers and help with community policing and training. Also, on the 19th, the Congresswoman introduced a bipartisan bill which is called the SCORE Act for Small Business Act of 2022, which is a bipartisan bill to reauthorize the SBA school program, which will help provide education and mentorship services for new entrepreneurs. Also, Congresswoman introduced a new program which is launch of her Human Trafficking Congressional Task Force, including victim rights group, local and federal law enforcement agencies, and community advocates working to combat human trafficking and uplift victims in Orange County, LA County, and San Bernardino County. The mission of the task force is to hear directly from leaders on the front lines of combating and prosecuting human trafficking, as well as those who provide valuable protection service to victims. The meetings will bring stakeholders together to identify problems, find policy solutions, and inform Congresswoman's work in Congress. That's it from my end. Is there any questions?
Roy's here.
Yes. Hi, Roy.
Hi there. How you doing? Hey, something that's most interesting, I bring it up at the supervisors meeting, so forth, and that is, as I understand, you said something about giving money to the counties or the states so that they can put more community police on the streets. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think that one is specifically to the county. I think that one is just to improve the current local policing, and I think that's. Let me take a look. I'm actually not very sure on that.
Because the situation, and of course most persons here probably don't know about item 18 was on the supervisor's agenda last week, where the county supervisors are going to fire, or they're attempting to fire 4,000 deputy sheriffs because they refuse to take the vaccination situation, which is, it's kind of interesting. on that particular level. And as to the point of human trafficking, I think without mincing words and playing legalese and so forth, the biggest human trafficking person on the planet is our president with our open border, which is just like, can you tell me how many people have come across the border that he's put in the states and cities and so forth? I hear all kinds of numbers are astronomical. And then here in the state of California, we are a sanctuary state, which is just like a magnet. So, and the Los Angeles County is up in that situation too. So if you want to talk about human trafficking, it's kind of absurd, especially in the state of California, which if they apply the federal laws, the County Board of Supervisors and others, and the governor of California would be in federal penitentiary for that particular item. And it goes to sex trafficking also, because a lot of these people coming across so forth are going to be hooked up into the sex trade. So, it's a lot of stuff out there, and we can't get people to go to the supervisors meeting to keep up on what's going on, so it is what it is.
All right, I'm taking note, so I'll let the Congresswoman know.
Yeah, let us know, what is right. And what do you tell your kids? What do you tell your kids? Hey, what is there anything about law and order and the rules, It's just a little exasperating. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you for your report. Let's move to the next speaker. The next speaker is from Rowland Unified School District and presented by Board Member Cary Chen. Cary Chen's me. So it's my turn to make a report this evening. Good evening. Enrollment for 2022-2023, enrollment for 2022 and 2023 school year for new students is now open. We invite new families of transitional kindergarten and kindergarten students to virtual information meeting about our program and our mentoring and Spanish dual language immersion programs that begins in kindergarten. Information meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 16 on 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Additional enrollment information and meeting links are posted on the district's website, www.rowlandschools.org/enroll. Rowland Unified School District offers COVID vaccines every Friday with our Health Honor COVID clinic. COVID vaccines and the booster doses are offered to our community every Friday at the district office back parking lot by appointments only. The community can make appointments on Friday between 11:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. to receive COVID vaccine for age 5 and up, and the booster doses for 12 and older. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson are offered. The community can make their appointments at www.rowlandschools.org/vaccine. That's all my report. Any questions?
Yes, Cary, I got one quick one here. Does the school district have, since they've been doing this virtual thing, I haven't been there because somebody asked me the other day, where they can on demand see your board meetings that you've had in the past, so that they can just go on there and then they can take the time and look and see catch up with what's going on. Do you have anything like that? Because I don't know what you guys use, if you use Zoom or GoToMeeting, they all record them, and then you can put them on demand so anybody can go take a look at them. Do you have that function?
No, we don't have right now, but we have recording. You can retrieve on our this school district website.
The video.
No, there's no video right now. There's no video. There's the recording, the voice.
I've seen that. That's an exercise in futility on that voice thing. And this is the 21st century. It's time to catch up and have some respect for for the constituents on that. So, okay, hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker is from Mount Santonio College, the board member, Dr. Judy Haggerty.
Thank you, Cary. Good evening, everyone. Since March 2020, MSAC has been committed to ensuring students have equitable access to their education by providing technology educational support. We currently have about 6,000 pieces of laptops, hotspots, and iPads, loaned to roughly about 3,800 low-income students. We expect the need for this program to continue throughout 2022. Also, we are also in the work to expand our Wi-Fi on our campus. Our two new parking lot structures already are equipped with Wi-Fi, and we are looking for additional spot in the common area to work on it. Our spring semester is going to start on February 22nd, and for now we are offering 47% classes online and 46% face-to-face and 7% hybrid. Before the pandemic, MSAC only offered 6% online. So that's a big change, but gradually we're going back on ground now. So anybody have question about spring registration, please feel free to contact me, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Any questions for Judy? Okay. Thank you, all the reporters, and let me check if Kevin Tao here from Highway Patrol or Caltrans District 7 and City Body. No, they're not here. So okay, let's move to the next item. The presentation. Tonight's presentation is from ACE. Alameda Corridor East Project, San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, reported by Maria Cano. Maria, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. And Terry, Eric's been trying to. He went through the website link. He's still having problems, so I just text him again to try it because it's become a little bit. He's already rebooted, so. He may step in as soon as it's possible. So I apologize in advance if we're going to go back and forth a little bit, waiting for, in terms of him stepping in and helping us. We won't get to the end of the questions anyways, which I'm hoping he'll be able to step in at that time. There are a few questions that I received that will definitely be able to add added value to some of your concerns. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to present sort of that summary that we've been carrying the updates from the projects, and so this was going to be more of a summary in terms of where we're at and then next steps for where we're headed to both the Fullerton date of 2024 as well as the estimated total costs. One of the other things that we always highlight, because we always deal with different community groups, is jobs created. These jobs are created money into the community, not only because there are residents within unions that apply for these jobs, but also because there are individuals bringing in business to the community as these projects are being built. Now, the Fullerton, this is the timeline that we're looking at as of this month for Fullerton Road. The construction contract of limited notice to proceed was issued September 2021. That gives the contractor an opportunity to mobilize, getting ready for notice to proceed, at which time the full construction, official construction starts. However, between those two periods, we saw a lot of movement out there in getting the site ready. Anything allowed within the contract at a limited allowance is performed at that time. That's why you saw a lot of activity gearing up towards December. The current focus of, and the next slide will present it a little better, but the current focus of the project construction is what we call stage 3F, 3D, which is, as you all wanted and we've heard you and we've responded, that the primary focus would be given to Gale Fullerton intersection to try to get that one completed, with the current goal for completion of that stage being November 2022. That's when you'll be able to see full use of the intersection for traffic and commuters. You'll also see, again, the retaining walls. This stage involves work around retaining walls for that intersection, road widening, which would also mean, and we'll come back to the community, every time there's a community impact of traffic, we put out what are called construction notices, and we will come back to the community with a full-fledged outreach plan to notify each and every one of you of any impacts. One of the impacts that will definitely be, we will be reaching out to the community about will be the road widening efforts at that intersection and what that will mean in terms of impacts when we get ready to actually lower the street and continue the widening efforts. As part of the north end of the project, you'll see more from the railroad street side. There's a lot of potholing and excavation that is going on along the UP right of way. And what that is preparing that area, and there's utilities, there's environmental that have to be addressed. So right now, a lot of the work that you see, you may or may not see directly, but is happening on the other side, has to do with exploration, excavation of that area in preparation for those bridges. Equally, and I had mentioned this earlier, and someone had asked about utility. Utility is always ongoing because we're either temporarily relocated or permanently relocated. So you'll hear the term a lot, but that just means that at every stage of the construction, there might be some utility impacts. Simple impact. There's a pole currently on Railroad Street that has to be relocated so that the work there can begin. Simple pole, but there are 4 communication lines, and those communication agencies have to be notified to relocate their lines. We cannot touch them. They come relocate them before that pole is actually removed. So things like that are all coordination in order to get us into the work that seems a little bit more visible, which and in progress. So, but things like that are all added along the way. Again, construction completion for the entire project is anticipated for winter 2024. However, that is the project. When I mention the stages, will be ongoing. When we provide stage and project updates, I'll give you dates related to those stages. This is we presented this before, and I wanted to bring it back because it's a nice depiction of where we're at in terms of the entire project. So south of Gale Fullerton, we have what the completed off-ramps, and you all were part of that project. That was completed by some of the work that was completed by the prior contractor. The major work is what you see, that's the stage F and stage D, and you see it depicted in yellow and green, and that's our current focus and with a November 22 completion date. The mostly completed is the north part, so you can drive up there and see it, but you can't drive through, obviously, because it's blocked where the road would be lowered for the underpass. Right now, that is an access for businesses only, and it is a paved road that is completed. And this goes to a comment by Roy, and I know I didn't finish my presentation last time, but Roy made a comment in terms of some of the flooding that happens currently along Gale, Fullerton. So whether that flooding existed before or now, a lot of that is going to be addressed by what you probably would see north of the tracks, and that is improvements to sewer and gutters and walkways and sidewalks. So all of that is planned for the limits of the project as you see it here. So everywhere you see construction, the construction limits, that area would be improved by project and the project, its construction itself. Now, once completed, that intersection, and I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you how it plays out with the current configuration at Fairway. Once completed, the intersection at which is November of this year, 3D and 3F, and we'll reference it like that, you will be seeing two, I'll start with the right-hand corner, 2 lanes going west with 1 left turn pocket. So basically that's the kind of flow that you'll end up with. Once we finish just this phase, we won't be able to go north because that underpass construction, much like you see at Fairway, will be ongoing until we finish that. But come November, traffic will have the flow that we're outlining here. On the lower hand corner, that's referencing 3 lanes going east plus a dedicated right turn, and then going north on Fullerton, you'll have 3 lanes going, 3 lanes, 2 turning left, and 1 dedicated turning right. So the flow that we expect come November for Fullerton Gale is the same flow that you see here at Walnut Fairway. That was lowered before, then the rest of the project was then followed through. So that's why you see a barricade there going north, but still the flow of traffic continued. This also will result in what we'll see once we open Gale Fullerton intersection in November. You'll see that the traffic will flow going from Nogales will also flow to Walnut, because around that time it is also anticipated that Fairway will be completed, and now you will see the congestion that tends to use either Fullerton Gale or Nogales as a detour will now actually settle into their areas as expected, going on Nogales or Fairway, because Fairway will at that point have through traffic through the underpass. Now I'm going to take you back to where we're at today. This is that area that is currently what we call retaining wall 1, part of stage 3F, and retaining wall 1 and 3D. This is the area that you're probably seeing while you're driving up there. This is the area that was traffic configuration K-rail was adjusted a bit, and this is why. This is an aerial of how it's been carved out, getting ready for the retaining walls, as well as road improvements along the way. There is 3 businesses in that building that we work with, and I'll share some of the work that we do through our business support group later. But right now, what you'll see after this is done is a retaining wall that's already taking form as we speak along the south edge of Gale, adjacent to that property, which many of you know it as Puente Plaza. These are, and I'm going to go through these kind of fast because they really are just sort of a depiction of the work that's going on behind the K-rail, behind shoring, both excavation along with shoring, quite a bit of activity. Another reason we're very, very strict on safety. Safety comes first with all these projects. Priority because it's a moving and very lively construction site, and at any which time you have both cranes and machinery such as this either doing excavation or moving materials. So we're very, very strict on the limits, and anybody just even peeking over to just see what's going on. But hopefully these presentations will allow you some of that, and we'll talk about other ways that will also improve some of the community engagement in this. But as far as why these are so closed in, it's really a very active site, and we want active because the benefit of how active it's been and how aggressive our new contractor has been with the project has been that things are moving forward, and that's what we want. We want to avoid anything that would halt any of these two projects from moving forward and helping us meet our deadlines. Here you see a view going east, and some of the shoring as well as the retaining walls taking form. So that's and on the right hand side you see some of the cranes that are probably, you can probably see the crane from the street when you're driving, but that's really what they're doing. They're getting ready to pour these walls and to get the street ready for the lowering that will come very soon. Now this is the north side of the tracks looking south onto Fullerton, and this is the other side of Gale that is also very active and also taking form, because again, remember the idea is to complete this particular intersection as stated. So there is a lot of activity. You might also, on the left hand there, you might see not only staging of materials, but some of the retaining walls for the underpass that have already taken form. And some of this work was already done by the prior contractor. So that's why what we're having is current contractors taking off from that. And so, but behind those walls that you may not see as you're driving by, you have the partially constructed walls, equipment being moved. You also have to the left-hand side, and I'll later on show some pics that depict there's already widening that is going on east on Gale, along the properties just east of what the actual project office. So there you'll see Jack in the Box again at the right, and a lot of the excavation that is going on. Similar, and I keep referencing Fairway because what you'll be seeing at Fairway later on is sort of that underpass taking form. And these are just more close-ups of the activity that is happening north of Gale, with both excavation and hauling out. Now, the hauling out, there is a hauling out route that's required for projects. That's why they don't just take on any particular street. There is a defined hauling route that avoids any further impact to traffic, and it's a route that has been devised to minimize just that. So that's why you may not see them going in any one direction. They are designated, a very designated specific route. They go in, they take out the materials, and they take them out to another agreed upon location for depositing. This is now a more, you can see that the elevations have changed quite a bit. The excavations have gone lower. On this side, you could, on the the left-hand side, you can see some of those existing retaining walls. Looking towards IHOP, you can see some of what will be the actual curb sidewalk area. And on the right-hand side, you'll see us actually digging closest to the footing of that, what used to be Jack in the Box. We will be restoring, as you saw in the renderings, restoring that property for full use once that area is completed. Earlier I mentioned, because there's a lot of activity happening. So what you see here is another aspect of just scale, the road widening. So you see the building to the top right-hand corner. That's actually our project office. But alongside that building, that they're actually digging up the road, getting ready to widen the street. There's already actually a lot of work in widening. The lower building is a privately owned building. We have, again, an agreement for construction with that building, so we've taken down, and it's all part of the agreement. We restore once completed, and that's what you're looking at. There's already that aggressive approach to get this work done within the specified schedule. So you will see equipment going back and forth, some of the hauling again for that as well. But this is all, so you're literally looking at 3 or 4 active areas within just the one project. This is just a pic on to give you a sense of the other side of the tracks. This is on the UP right away. Again, that's that would be sort of like that fourth active part of the project, and I'll be updating you soon on just how much more progress they're doing on that side as well. Now I'm going to turn to Fairway Drive. The Fairway Drive Grade Separation project is anticipated to be completed by December of this year, with November actually opening up the underpass. Again, once we open the underpass at Fairway, we will have a trickle effect of traffic moving from the impacts that you see at Fullerton to Nogales, sort of moving because they'll have the flow that they need to be able to alleviate the congestion at these three intersections. With this one, again, jobs created are very important, and we always like to highlight, because it certainly does bring dollars back, a different kind of dollar, because it comes from consumer dollars into the community. Business Parkway itself reopened in September of 2021. The work currently focused on is stabilizing the soils and getting ready to dig out the underpass. You'll see what we call retaining wall work along the underpass along UP right-of-way. Currently, the 10, 9, and 8 focuses west of Fairway Drive along what is currently CubeSmart. It used to be Fairway Storage, but it's those areas that you'll see walls going up, as well as chain link on top of those walls. We work and all throughout the project, we've worked with the businesses that abut the UP right-of-way to ensure that we are addressing their concerns, and no different here. Everyone has had the concern, especially because as much as it's illegal, a lot of people do tend to use the track sometimes to cross, and then some of the businesses get impacted. While we're there, we become a partner with the businesses to address the concerns that were probably there before and probably will be there after we leave. But at least while we're there, we address their concerns, such as dumping, homelessness, and we work with city and local agencies to address some of these concerns, and we've been very successful. It certainly has warmed our hearts to know that some of the businesses appreciate that they have another entity that is supporting them as a voice of on the issue that seems to affect the area in general. So we're certainly very happy to be of help and service to our neighbors when it comes to these items. And as such, we've cleared existing debris left over. We've worked with local agencies like Homeless Union, Mission Union Homeless Services, to be able to bring them in, and as well as Sheriff's Homeless Support Network, to be able to help the individuals that are there, relocate them, and then address the needs. Our main priority, as I've always said, is safety, and being around the tracks and construction equipment is just a recipe for disaster if not handled properly. And that's why we stay on top of these issues as we're working in these areas. Right now, there's the work, again, Fairway. There is rough grading of the UP Bridge. There continued, and as well as continued preparation of the road configuration for the underpass. Again, the underpass is anticipated to be completed November 2022, at which time we'll see that relief we've been talking about. This is just a picture of the configuration of the opening of Business Parkway. One of the things I highlight with this is, again, when you look at these pictures, you may see an open, wide road, but what may not be as apparent is the streets have all been redone. These are new gutters, new curbs, new sidewalks, new lighting. Lighting is actually configured to current standards. So where there might have been, 3 poles, now there's more, and so it becomes a much. Once the project is done, it's actually a much safer environment in terms of for local businesses and area workers. This is some of that work that I mentioned, retaining walls along the UP right-of-way. You'll see containers in the back, very, very common for us because a majority of these warehouses have their bays in the back. And so we work with them to accommodate them and to avoid any interruption to their businesses. We're doing our work of moving forward with the projects. This is just one of the stormwater reinforced concrete blocks that was put in, and some of the references some of the utilities that are put in place. So whereas these projects bring in money and you see the finished product of an underpass, a lot of that also involves improvement because of the relocation, because of existing conditions that we find, improvements of utilities along the way. So it's not just a project where it's addressing traffic, it's a project that's also comes in and improves some basic utilities that will ultimately, an investment of money, and ultimately last for many more years and serve the community well because they're invested dollars into the improvements of the infrastructure. And this is probably one, it may not seem like a lot, but it's one of the nicer shots because you're actually seeing the underpass taking form. This is really looking at it south, that's Furniture of America, right, sort of that left upper corner. And I'm going to show you next what, and Roy mentioned this a couple of meetings back, but it's like the light at the end of the tunnel because he had been out there and had seen some of that light coming through. This is the view looking north at Fairway. So certainly that's the bridge. That would be the bridge that would carry the tracks. This is a one bridge project only. So what you see there is actually the bridge for the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. Business support has become and will always be at the forefront of our outreach efforts and the project's focus. One of the things that we do as staff for the outreach department is that we become liaisons to property owners, and we start up with a basic foundation of providing not only information of where the project is going, but providing as needed directional and informational signage to make sure that their businesses are not getting sort of sidebarred as we're focusing on building these projects. We work with them both on general and specific advertising campaigns. We work with cities and agencies where available and applicable to promote, like with City of Industry, they had an ongoing COVID-19 assistance program that included grants for outside seating expansion, and we were out there in the community anyway. We worked to spread the word on how to go through that process. But additionally, and most importantly, what it becomes is we become partners with businesses, and they come to us with just general questions like, do you know where I can find information on the city's rules on grease, how to process greases from the restaurants? And this is coming from property owners as well as business owners, as well as, do you know where I know this may not be your project, but do you know where I can get some assistance information, homeless assistance information for a problem that we're having, like 5 miles away from the project? So we've basically become another source, and where we can't help, we certainly pass on the information, and we link up the two individuals or partners, and it's become a really productive, I think, partnership in that we're, at least while we are there, we're just another link in getting people to the right services. Part of our business support involves direct mail marketing or specific advertising. This is just a sample of some of the monthly advertising that we do for Fullerton, where this is mailed out to anywhere between Fairway and Fullerton, between 25 to 30,000 households every month. These are like the mailers that you get at home, and this is advertising for the businesses within the project. We also, as part of that ad, include a map, so it gives directions for individuals how to get there when that map changes. We include those changes so that there is better flow. So traffic impacts, any of those changes could get added to this monthly flyer that gets sent to the homes. We also do a monthly ad in the World Journal, and we also do business-specific ads through Chinese in LA, and that actually focus on individual restaurants. So that gives us the opportunity, like if a restaurant is doing a special, then we can help them highlight. And we've had really good luck with them in that the community has responded by, they determine their success through obviously hits, because this is social media driven. So if we get anywhere above 5,000 hits, we're doing well. And usually that's what we've been seeing with each of these individual ads for businesses. Now with that, we're focused on Puente Plaza because that is the neighboring business. We certainly have businesses that don't necessarily have the kind of ads that would, unless they have a special advertising that's going on, but ultimately it really is geared towards restaurants. Ongoing for the projects, we do debris, dust, and graffiti, weed abatement, construction, and noise and vibrations are monitored and to meet the standards as required. And we do have an inquiry process for individuals, business, or residents that will allow us to be able to address individual concerns, be a little bit more proactive sort of at that moment, because it may be able to be resolved at that instance, which is, been our great experience. Now, this is my contact information as well as reference to the website, Twitter for both projects, and those get updated with some of these project update photos, so progress photos, And one of the things for Fullerton, we will be bringing online, and we're working to improve the website with that. It's in the works, so I don't have exactly a date for exactly when it will go online, but we will have an Earth Cam, so you'll be able to log on to the website and open up the Earth Cam that will be planted within the Fullerton project, and just watch the progressive, the progression of the project sort of day by day. It's a wonderful way of snapshotting everything that's going on. It's moving forward, so it's going to be very interesting. I will let Cary know, and we'll provide a link as soon as we have it, so that anyone who wants to see the ongoing progression of the project moving forward will be able to do so. Again, it's currently not up, but it's currently we're just looking for locations right now as to where the camera is actually going to go. But it'll be recording every aspect of the construction moving forward. Questions? And Eric is on, so thank you, Eric.
Yeah, Cary, David Malkin, I have a question. One of the critical issues on this is going to be the westbound 60 freeway off-ramp. Trucks right now exit the 60 freeway on that westbound off-ramp, and then they want to make an immediate left-hand turn onto Gale. And what happens is that the light at Gale and Fullerton Road is red, and yet they continue to exit that freeway, blocking Fullerton Road, so cars can't go in either direction. Something that's got to be done as far as syncing of those lights, or the highway patrol being involved, because that was a constant occurrence, and it still is, where these long trucks will exit even though there's no place for them to exit, and they completely cut off Fullerton Road.
And we'll continue to work with the project on that. It'll be a little different once the underpass is actually completed, certainly, because you'll have the same flow that you're looking at Nogales. Nogales does have a longer little span there, but you hit the nail on the head, and that is going to be the syncing of those lights will reflect to all the lights. It's not just you adjust one and hope that the others are going to take form. So it's right now we're looking at the intersection as was requested of the intersection of the I want to say Plaza Drive, and we actually county came back to say that they are going to be doing an adjustment as some of the equipment was slowing down in that area. So that adjustment, as I understand, is in place now, and they've already taken note of some of the improvements just in that space. The short span between the off-ramp to Gale is something that we will continue to look at, because one of the things we did do as a result of this comment several months ago was had that intersection painted to ask to add a no blocking note on there, but it's striped, and now it seems like we need to include enforcement again, because it was fine for a few months and now it's happening again. So I will definitely call on our partners at the sheriff's station to see if they can help us with a few days of patrolling. They do it sporadically, so when they do it, they'll come back and then they'll leave and they'll come back. Obviously, as you all know, important calls are a priority, but they will come back, and that I have seen, and they have assured me that they do come back. They do find those that are breaking the law, and that may need to happen until we get a better flow throughout the area, just to avoid anything else happening.
I have 2 questions. One, I see in the very first picture there's a lot of green area. Is that is that green, or is that just parking lots and buildings in that very first slide?
So what that is those properties were purchased for the purpose of building this project. Once the project is completed, any excess land goes through a process that allows both local jurisdictions to acquire these for use within, say, city or county jurisdictions, and then if they are not needed, then they would be sold for future development.
Cary, are you
the Fullerton Road, they've got the chain link fences. Were those part of the design change when they submitted, or was that part of the original design?
Those were part of the original design, and anything to do with private property, in this case, that would be considered Caltrans property, goes through a process that agency would have to approve. So those were design plans as approved by Caltrans. Now, I remember a couple months back that we had a presenter from Caltrans.
And how the new contract was awarded. I welcome you to visit our agency's website. The project itself is being overseen by the Capital Project and Construction Committee. The current chair, our chairwoman, is the councilwoman of the city of Diamond Bar, Councilwoman Nancy Lyon. And also Supervisor Solis is also a member of the committee. So for those of you who have concern, in fact, I would like to assure you that we have 10 elected officials sitting and monitoring all of our contracts and painstakingly critique and giving guidance on every single capital project that we deliver. In the case of this project contract status, what I can share with everyone here is the new contractor was selected, and in July of 2021. Subsequently, from that point, a lot of pre-construction mobilization took place, and then contractor began mobilization on site, and that's where in the last couple of weeks we saw very heavy civil work, earthwork being moved. And I do apologize that I'm speaking a little strangely today because I just had a oral surgery, so half of my face is still kind of numb, so I couldn't really speak clearly, and I do apologize for that. As Maria explained earlier, we are now on a pretty aggressive construction schedule with a stipulation and a great emphasis on the south side of the railroad track as one of the most critical phase when we selected the current contractor. There were a lot of fast tracking coordination that needed to be done, specifically with the Union Pacific. In addition, there are a lot of permits and also utility relocation that also have to be done in conjunction with all the heavy earthwork that is being worked. Somebody said that you couldn't hear me. Are you having problems to hear me?
No.
Somebody just. All right, I'll try my best. So in terms of the schedule, we are cautiously optimistic because right now we're placing a lot of emphasis in terms of internal staffing and working with the construction management team as well as the contractors all in the field right now. What I can share with you is that in the last 6 weeks since the contractor started mobilizing, it is all hands on deck and all cylinders fired in that mentality. So if you have opportunity, if you come on site, I am confident to see the contractors, the new contractors, the men and women who are working on site. Indeed, they are really taking our marching order very seriously, and they are moving dirt left and right. And I also don't want to sugarcoat it. In the next couple months, because the switching, because the trench, because the excavation that we must do on Gale and also on Fullerton approaching Gale, so that we can excavate enough dirt to reach the lower level that will become the new elevation for the underpass. There's going to be a lot of work. There will be interruptions. As Maria had shared with you, we are very optimistic that by Thanksgiving of this year, Gale will be finished so that the motorists traversing through that intersection will experience relatively complete as if you travel through Fairway and Gale today. So that is our target, that is our commitment to the community. And all I could ask you is, we ask your patience, and we are really pressing hard. And so, again, if there are additional questions, I will be glad to answer you.
I have 2 quick questions. One, you mentioned the committee reviewed the plans, and you mentioned someone from Diamond Bar was Nancy Lyons. Was there any member from actually Rowland Heights on the committee to give input into the final plan?
The mayor of City of Industry, Mayor Moss, is also a member of the committee.
Right,
and
but Rowland Heights, and was anyone from a non-city and unincorporated Rowland Heights involved in reviewing the plans for the project?
No, the review of the plan is not a purview of the committee. Again, this is an engineering project. It is developed with a delegated authority from the committee, reviewing the contract, reviewing the procurement process, and reviewing all aspects of it, and then delegated to the design team, and then delegated through selection of contractor to build it.
Okay,
Again,
was anyone from Rowland Heights involved in that?
maybe at the board level, because at that time it was represented by Supervisor Han's office.
Cary,
That would be the representative for that area.
can I mention something here, Cary? Cary, is it okay? Can I speak? Can you hear me, Cary?
Can you hear me? I can't hear you very clearly. Can you say it again?
This is Roy. Can you hear me?
A little bit. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, if you can't hear me. And to Teri, this is the same thing that you ran in when they were talking about the train situation with the gold line that's going down to Whittier right now. That's the way it's always been. We're unincorporated. The cities get top billing, and they're included for a lot of legal reasons and so forth. So as the lady as Ms. Cano pointed out, the representatives for the unincorporated areas are the supervisor's personnel. Thank you.
And Eric, we have some technical problem here, and some of them indicating not able to hear your voice. I can hear you well, but anyone have a difficulty to hear Eric?
Yeah, Cary, just in response to what Roy was saying, he is right that the supervisor's office represents the unincorporated area. However, what we found out in the past is that the trustee area for those supervisors is very, very, very large. And in the future, it would be better to have somebody locally that lives in Rowland Heights, such as RHCCC, be available to be on that board, like Nancy Lyons from Diamond Bar. We have direct information, direct experience with that site. When you go through Supervisor Han's office, this is one of a 1,000 issues that she has to address. Whereas we who live in the area know the area and can give you better information and suggestions. So in the future, it'd be nice if you can have one of our members from RHCCC be a representative, like you have Nancy Lyons as a representative. And also in Hacienda Heights, they have the Hacienda Heights Improvement Association. So those two associations, Rowland Heights and Hacienda Heights, could each appoint somebody to be on the committee.
Well, if I may point out here, that can run into, it's not a bad idea. I'm not saying that that's somebody versus nobody, but as Dick Simmons says back when Don Canabi was around, that even though Rowland Heights is a community entity, it doesn't represent Rowland Heights. The Chinese Association might be offended. Why didn't they get to it? And the Koreans and so forth. They're the Women's Association. So that's it's perplexing when you're not a city with the duly authorized and persons to represent you. But again, that's the way it is.
I think that's go ahead, Teri.
David had a suggestion. Is it possible to offer an incentive if they finish early?
I think that's a very, very legitimate suggestion. But where I would also caution all of you is that, number one, there are certain majority of these type of infrastructure projects are interlinked. So just because our contractor is incentivized to put in additional hours, much of their work often is relying on the coordination with other parties, such as utility companies. So we found ourselves in the past, which many public agencies encounter, that they provide cash incentive for extended hours, and then they pay premiums for those extended hours to accelerate, with the hope of accelerating project completion, where the end result may turn out to be very minimally beneficial In particular, with the extended hours offered, very often residents will receive the brunt of the impact as work could continue into middle of the night or early in the morning or even during weekend. But yet during those extended hours, some other utility providers, if they could not match up with the work, the agencies ended up paying a hefty premium without really getting the benefit of acceleration. So the short answer to complete my response here is once our contractor was awarded with the contract and once they were authorized to mobilize in late December of 2021, they submitted a finalized project schedule, and that became a contractual document.
Next opportunity, we can do it.
Let me provide you with a clarification. The Capital Projects and Construction Committee of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government, it is by charter a committee that comes with contractual authorities. The members are designated through charter, and they must be elected officials. And they represent 4 different districts. And in addition, cities that have or jurisdictions that have current ACE project or Alameda Corridor East projects, those cities also have representation. That's the reason that City of Montebello, City of Pomona, and City of Industry, they have representatives in addition to the 4 quadrants of representatives. And in addition, then we have county supervisor and a member of, and also the president of San Gabriel Valley Council of Government. That makes up the total 10 members, the membership of the 10 members on the committee. You are always welcome to attend our committee meetings virtually or in the future when we return to in-person meetings. When you participate, you are given the same opportunity as general public to make comments on issues that are on the agenda or issues that are not on the agenda. Our committee meetings are held on the 4th Monday of every month at 12 o'clock at noon for 1 hour. So if you're interested to see this upcoming committee meeting, it will be held on February 28th, Monday at noon. The agenda will be posted at least 72 hours prior. The material will be available online.
Can you tell us who the representatives are from Supervisor Han's office and Supervisor Solis's office?
There's only one supervisorial representative on the committee, and that is Supervisor Solis.
Okay, and who's that representative? Or does she attend personally?
Supervisor Solis attends the meeting regularly.
So there's no way for the non-elected official RHCCC members to be the committee, only can be the. Am I right?
I'm sorry, is that a comment or a question?
Questions. So I clarify. According to what you said, there's no way for the RHCCC members or any other non-official community members to be the committee members. So you have to be an elected official. Am I right?
That is correct. Once again, I welcome you to visit our website. In each committee, the composition of each committee is clearly outlined in the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government bylaw, and each committee has different composition. And there are some committees that may be staffed by city staff, a capital project and construction committee specifically is structured to be membered by only elected officials only. It's because it's authority of issuing contracts.
The school board members are elected official. They are is school board members qualified?
No, they are not. Once again, the capital projects and construction committee of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government, the representative must also be those cities' designated representative to the governing board. So there are 31 cities as part of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government. Each city designates one elected official to be part of the governing board. And then the capital project and construction committee members are the subset of the representative from the governing board.
Terry, can I ask you a question? This is Jackson.
Certainly.
Yeah, right now I think people are really concerned about the progress of those projects. So at this moment, where are we stand? Based on your maybe some project experience, are we pretty much finished at 50%, 60%? Can you tell us where we stand right now? And is it possible in the future you can share with us the progress of the project in the website or somewhere that we can see, it's constantly be ongoing or in progress in the future?
I'm glad that you asked that question. We report to our capital projects and construction committee every quarter. So in January, April, July, and October, there is always a recurrent quarterly report on all of our capital projects. So I welcome you, if you'd like to see the actual expenditure today, as of December 31st, 2021, the staff report can be found on our January 23rd, 2022 staff report. There's an item called quarterly report. And Maria, if you can find it and post the link, and you can retrieve all of our the status on funding expenditures in the different phases of invoices today, key items that we accomplished in the prior 3 months, and what are the key activities that we anticipate in the following 3 months. And we do that for all six or seven active construction projects. Going forward, once again, I think the gentleman asked me earlier, what is the percentage? I think we reported to our committee back in July, and Shimmick walked away from the job, and when we terminated the job back in 2020-ish, the monetary expenditure versus their work, it was estimated right around 43% of the total project. But I would caution you that many of you may have done remodeling yourself. You probably could imagine that just because the previous contractor finished right around 43%, when we hired the new contractor, once the new contractor started the work, there were a lot of investigative work that had to be done because there were certain work that needs to be redone. So I think we're still very preliminary. The new contractor really just started full speed ahead as of January 3rd of this year. But I'm cautiously optimistic as I continue to say, because just to visualize how much work has been done in the last 6 weeks, it really gives us a sense of confidence that this contractor, the new contractor, and also the new construction management team, they're really working hand in hand and trying to find the best way forward and really engaging the railroads and also approaching all utility companies that have assets over our project site to have them relocate their utility lines, working with us, collaborating on scheduling. All those are a good indication that we will be on schedule.
Question, is there more oversight going on now? We want to just make sure that there's more oversight with this new contractor than there was with the previous one, so we don't have any unexpected delays.
Let me think about what is the best way to address your concern. I think it would be unfair for me to second guess how it was done before, since I have only been on the job for 1 year. But I could tell you that we have been very, very transparent and actively sharing information with the committee, at least during my tenure in the last 14 months. I inherited a great team. It was a very, very unfortunate situation that we found ourselves in that situation back in 2018. And then further, I think the situation worsened as all of us encountered the unprecedented COVID-19. So there were just so many factors that got us to where we were in 2020. We are finally coming out of that unfortunate scenario, and going forward, we will continue to report to our committee, our oversight committee. I will continue to be the bridge in terms of sharing information, and sharing information with you, sharing information with all elected bodies. And I think we will continue to put great emphasis in working closely with our contractor. I think that's probably the best oversight, because the contract. So once again, all of us we know what we need to do, and we will continue to monitor, continue to work with our contractor and deliver the project.
Eric, this is Martin. You mind if I add to that?
Certainly, Martin.
Thanks. And Teri, I just want to say thank you to everybody for all of your questions, but I think this is the first time that there is a representative on the governing body that oversees ACE that actually represents Rowland Heights. So up until December of last year, Supervisor Han has been representing Rowland Heights, but she has never been on the ACE governing board. But now with redistricting, Supervisor Solis is on the board, and she does represent Rowland Heights. So I think moving forward, you're probably going to see a different level of scrutiny coming from our office as Eric brings updates and brings contracts and contract changes to the governing authority. I think the supervisor is definitely going to be keeping an eye on this project, particularly because we know there are significant impacts to Rowland Heights. We will definitely look at any ways possible to expedite the project, including, I think somebody brought up the idea of incentivizing, which I think is a really interesting idea. I know that would take more money, more taxpayers' dollars, but if that is something that's worth it to Rowland Heights, something we can look into. But I just wanted to assure the group that now that the supervisor is here on the board, and now that she represents Rowland Heights, this is definitely a project that we will be scrutinizing. As Eric said, we often spend hours at each of these meetings discussing details of every contract and every project. And this one will definitely, I think we will be focusing a lot more on moving forward now that she's back on the governing board. So I just wanted to add that to Eric's answer. Thank you.
Cary, can I?
Right?
Okay, one thing, this is Roy Humphreys, who is one time a proponent and principal in the cityhood movement for Rowland Heights. And after 30-some years, finally, we get somebody who can really put the black onto the white and give it some definition as to why unincorporated areas, of which Rowland Heights is one, we are not cities and we are not part of, have the right to go sit at the table with the rest of the individuals, i.e. Diamond Bar, Walnut, etc. And City of Industry. And just as another impetus is why we should have become a city, so we can be on the same level. So thank you, gentlemen, very much for bringing this definition to people who heretofore had no idea. Thank you very much. Are you speechless?
Any more questions for Eric and Maria?
Yes, this is Henry. This is Henry Wu.
Henry, go ahead.
Residence in Rowland Heights for the last 42 years, and Fullerton Road construction has made me lost confidence in this ACE construction authority, because it was initially set up as an agency to tie all the cities and communities through a county to expedite the project. So we have been learning about the project since probably 2014, and as early as that, and we were ready for it, and we thought the Nogales project was completed pretty well and without too much of a hiccup. But the Fullerton Road underpass project, I understand maybe a bit more complicated because of the roadway and bridges, and come on top of that with the COVID-19 situation. But still, I think we need to find a way to expedite it even further. And I don't see people working on Saturday and Sunday. And if we are going to incentivize it, can we ask them to work longer over the Saturday and Sunday period? Because those areas are not residential, so the noise may not be significantly affecting the residents. So can you look into a little bit more overtime on Saturday and Sunday?
I wish there are easier answer for us to make changes after contracts are being awarded. Once again, if you, I definitely understand the frustration of the community, and how we got here. We certainly found many different ways that within our authority that we are moving forward expeditiously. And at this moment where we are, I think we are placing the greatest emphasis right now is to ensure that the schedule that has been proposed, that has been codified as part of the contract, that we will stay on top of the schedule. And in fact, if there are any changes at this moment that is initiated by us without very, very thoughtful consideration, we could potentially cause more harm than good. So I think once you begin to see more steady progress being made in the next couple of months, you're going to realize, and I hope that we will regain your confidence, that the professionals who are out there working, they are really working their tail end off. They are proud individuals. Those construction workers, they are proud laborers. We work very, very closely. We rely on their expertise, and it is a teamwork. So once again, if you find yourself seeing that there are less activities out in the field, why not asking them to work on Saturday or Sunday? I would also ask you to look from the perspective of even those skilled workers deserve to have family time. They work long hours on our projects. Their jobs are dangerous out in the field. And so that if that was in the contract, that they work within the hours that they agreed to, I think it's best for us to go with what we already have. We know the end game. We know the schedule. We'll continue to stick to the schedule.
And just an add-on to that, if we were to, these people, if they go to working on weekends and all this double time and all that sort of, it amounts to being a punishment to us because the money's going to come from the taxpayers rather than the contractor being punished for having allowed this thing for the compensation. So if you want to punish yourself, go ahead. Do this double time, triple time situation. As the gentleman says, they're on a good road. I get that one. A good road there and doing a good job. I've been out there seeing it myself. So hey, be grateful for what we got and let's not go beating ourselves. Thank you.
There must be a penalty clause from the contract. If they can complete it under the completion date, and is it because?
Yes, so it's liquidated damage, delay damage. It is a double-edged sword, meaning that we, on the owner side, as agency, we also have our obligation to ensure that we abide by the contract. So as many of you suggested, why don't we do something differently on the fly? Factors where contracts are made to be the way they are is that both parties agree to the rules of the game. They are contracted with a fixed price to build a project on the schedule that they develop and that we agree. If they delay the project, they will be penalized on every single day basis. On the other hand, if we agree to provide them with the clearance, the permits, and also all necessary pre-project conditions to allow them to do the job, and yet we as the government agency that we fail to provide to meet our end of the bargain, then they can also come around and file claims against us. So I think it's very, very important for me to convey that it is very, very different based on what I heard about how the interaction with the previous contractor. It was a very, very rare, but very unfortunate situation that we found ourselves into. And then from there, it just escalated to the point that anything that can go wrong went wrong. But now we really started with the right foot, with a contractor that has shown very, very positive attitude right from the get-go, willing to move things around and willing to find ways to, if I'll give you one example, for instance, we are still trying to look for Frontier, one of the cable companies, because they have overhead wires over the railroad track. We need to find them to move their wires as we proceed with our construction. That is not easy because it's not their job to move the wires. They are being asked to move for our project. So they are always that give and take all on the construction site with multi-million dollars of work being done. So all I could try to convey is this is a group of very, very highly qualified and proud professionals. They know what they're doing. They enter into contract. They want to get the job done. And every single one of us have that mission in mind. We want to get the job done quickly, proudly, and done with it. So that's the mentality we are, and we'll continue to push forward.
Did you just say that Frontier is giving you some pushback?
No, Frontier is one of the many utility providers that we're going after them.
I'll call them tomorrow. I'll call them tomorrow and be in their face, okay?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Okay.
Eric, this is Chuck Sun again. Eric, I think you have given a very good, insightful information here. But, in the future, is it possible, instead of giving us like quarterly or a couple months, is it possible that you send somebody from your agency to give us the progress report every month or two, something like that? Because Rowland Heights is really suffering because of the delay of this, Fullerton project. So I think everybody is very eager to learn what is the progress, how much you have progress so far. So I was wondering whether you can be presented, maybe in the next monthly meeting or every 2 months. Because I think you have done a very, very good job, personally, to give us some inside information. So, Eric, I was wondering whether you can, attend this kind of meeting every 2 months or possible.
I would. This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to invite Maria and Eric to our RHCCC meeting. As you don't need to spend time like tonight. We can put you at the community report for a brief report for the progress. So everybody has a update and regularly every month. So
and as we have been doing for the last probably since the new contractor came on board. So yeah, we can continue to do that. We've been part of the agenda for the last, I want to say since August on a monthly basis. But before that, every other month.
And then we'd like to see you every month or every other month, and we can keep communicate, and we will eliminate a lot of misunderstandings. So yeah, we can keep it hard.
We are. Number one, I definitely look forward to coming back here on a regular basis. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, as you start seeing more progress being made, you could decide whether you're tired of seeing me telling you about the moving dirt back and forth. And definitely, I want to convey in late in the evening, I do want to convey that we definitely sense your frustration. It is not a pleasant situation that any one of us wish to get ourselves into. As Maria mentioned earlier, we will be setting up the Earth Camp in the very near future. We will integrate not only this project and another project, it is the Diamond Bar Golf Course Improvement Project. Going forward, every single project that we will install Earth Camp on the project site, so that there will be even greater transparency for you to see. And hopefully by mid-year, you'll be so pleased that at least we're all seeing the end of the tunnel. The road is finally going to be clear, so that you will experience a little smoother traffic. Then you can decide that I no longer have to be here every other month. But again, we are part of the delivery, that we take great pride to make your community, your neighborhood eventually will become better. So I also ask you to work with us by giving us specific input. For instance, when the constituents told us how the driveway from that hot pot experienced very specific long delay between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. I have to tell you how appreciative we are, because we were able to then deploy our engineers and also work with county to be out on the job site and monitor it in person. And it was from that information the county technician, county electrician was able to detect the faulty equipment, and that led to the replacement of the vehicular detection. So I ask you to give us those inputs. In addition to your frustration, if you can give us observations that would help us to surgically resolve those congested spots for you, that would make our job much easier.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
And our frustration.
Can I add in one more question for Eric as well? You just mentioned.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you just mentioned, the signal at that Gale and Fullerton. Is it possible that, you can request a traffic survey? Because the long delay is, really unbearable. So I'm not a traffic engineer. I believe if we put in some traffic engineer, going over there to have some kind of survey to somehow improve the traffic light, and the traffic congestion will be lightened up. That's what I will say if we do enough survey or enough study into it. Right now, the traffic really is unbearable, especially during the rush hour.
Right, we understand that, and I appreciate that comment. There are probably enough traffic engineers out there looking at this issue, and as Maria has mentioned, that three adjacent intersections are very, very difficult to try to synchronize, even during a good day, during a normal operation, let alone an intersection is under heavy construction. So, as a traffic engineer myself, I would tell you, first of all, if you could avoid that intersection when we have active construction activity, my best advice is to find another way. And I know it's unfair to say that, but that is probably one of the easier ways for you to save your time. Secondly, if you find yourself in a situation where the congestion is just abnormal or recurrent, give us specific description, and that would help us to diagnose. At this moment, in the next probably 3 to 4 months, there will be no immediate solution that we can change signal timing dramatically, because there will be a lot of construction back and forth. So once again, the hint that I'm giving you here as a motorist is that if you can avoid it, try to find a detour. Secondly, if you cannot find a detour, have a little patience, and at the same time help us be the eyes and the ears, and let us know what else could we do. And then you bet we will respond to your input.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? And with no more questions, getting late. Ready. Thank you very much, Maria and Eric, for sharing your information. And we will see you again, and hopefully next month in March. And we will invite you back here again and give us a positive progress. And also thank you very much for understanding our frustration, and we have no choice. We have to trust you, and yeah, don't hesitate. So I see you in March again. And
Yeah, I will continue to be there, and certainly my information is there. You don't have to wait for the monthly meeting to share your thoughts. That gives us an opportunity to try to resolve them. So I do encourage you to reach out to me before that, and that way we can have solutions in place before we even have to meet.
Correct. If there's anything you just send it to us, send it to me, and I will share with the community.
Yes, there will be. I'll reach out to you there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you very much, and thank you for late and spending the Valentine's evening with us.
All right, great.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So meeting adjourned at 9:25. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.